The era of Ahasuerus and Esther, an empire between redemption and Sintha. The story of Persia is not merely one of the rise and fall of an empire, but a tale of God's miraculous intervention through ordinary people with unwavering faith, not faint-heartedness, who played roles in fulfilling a greater divine plan. One of the most beautiful biblical stories involving Persia is the story of Esther, an obscure Jewish woman through whom God performed a great miracle. We return to the time of the Persian Empire during the reign of King Ahasuerus, a period in which the people of Israel, though allowed to return to their homeland and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, continued to live under the shadow of oppression and hardship. Despite the Jews being permitted to go back and restore their land, we've still lived under the rule of foreign empires. In this context, the Persian Empire with all its glory remained a place of great trials for the people of Israel. The greatness of the Queen Esther and miracles in Persia. King Ahasuerus, a powerful and mighty ruler, held an extravagant banquet that lasted 6 months, hosting guests from across his vast empire. At the end of this feast, he commanded his wife, Queen Vashti, to appear before the guests and display her beauty. However, Queen Vashti, a woman of dignity, refused the king's command, an act that King Ahasuerus found unacceptable. Wounded in pride, Ahasuerus issued a royal decree to banish Queen Vashti from the palace and sought a new queen to replace her. It was under these circumstances that Esther, a young Jewish woman, was chosen to succeed Vashti, though she had never aspired to such a position. Esther, despite being Jewish, kept her identity hidden from the king, adding mystery and complexity to her story. More importantly, Esther was placed in a crucial position within the Persian Empire, where the fate of the entire Jewish people would hang in the balance. Her appointment was no coincidence, it was part of God's grand design. When Esther became queen, she was not merely a beautiful woman, she became a vital piece in the divine mission God had laid out for the nation of Israel. A genocidal plot, Haman, and a scheme of sin. While Esther rose to the position of queen, a fearsome enemy of the Jews was quietly plotting their destruction. Haman, a descendant of the Amalekites, one of Israel's long-standing foes, was elevated by King Ahasuerus to a high rank within the court. Haman was not only cunning but also harbored a deep hatred toward the Jews, especially Mordecai, who refused to bow before him. In vengeance, Haman devised a wicked scheme, the extermination of the entire Jewish population within the Persian Empire. He convinced King Ahasuerus to issue a decree calling for the destruction of all Jews throughout the empire. This vile plan not only targeted a people but also tested the extent of divine intervention in human history. With this decree, Haman had plunged the Jewish people into a desperate situation where life and death would be determined by the powers of the Persian Empire. In the midst of this darkness, God had prepared someone to alter the fate of his people. Esther, with courage and unshakable faith, stood up and resolved to act. She knew that without intervention, the Jewish people would perish. But stepping into the political affairs of the empire could mean death. Only King Ahasuerus had the authority to revoke the decree, and approaching him without being summoned was punishable by death. Esther's courage, walking into destiny with firm resolve and deep faith in God, Esther chose to risk her life to save her people. She asked all the Jews in Susa to fast and pray for 3 days, during which she would approach King Ahasuerus without being summoned. With prayer and faith as her foundation, Esther walked into the king's chamber. When King Ahasuerus saw her, he extended his scepter toward her, a sign that she was pardoned and would not be executed. Instead of revealing Haman's plot immediately, Esther wisely invited the king and Haman to a banquet where she planned to unveil the truth. This showed Esther's courage paired with wisdom, understanding that timing and manner were critical to success. The grand conclusion. From sin to redemption. At the second banquet hosted by Esther, she finally revealed Haman's genocidal plot. She identified him as the enemy of the Jewish people and exposed his conspiracy. King Ahasuerus, enraged, ordered Haman's execution, ironically having him hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Redemption came not only for Esther but for the entire Jewish people. The decree for extermination was revoked, and the Jews were granted the right to defend themselves. This wasn't just a miracle, it was a testament to God's miraculous hand in history. The people of Israel were saved, and Persia with all its power became an instrument in God's extraordinary plan of redemption for his chosen people.